Traction control. Did I use it? Yep. Did I mean to? Nope. Did it work? Kind of. And here's how. So, anyway, I had this video ready to go for a while from our last mediocre performance at Mowbridge. Ended up finishing, as you'll see in the footage. There's not a lot of footage either because we didn't make the A. What else didn't happen? Oh yeah, the GoPro. Well, we messed up the GoPro and all that sort of stuff, and then there also wasn't any pay-per-view footage. So, pretty boring on my part, really, as I like doing the videos and stuff. And there's nothing. And then I realised something that I did that'd probably make things a little bit interesting to show people what can happen. So with the traction control thing, I'll get to that in a minute. But it started off, we got our engine back from Jack, blew the head gasket, and I'll try and put a photo on here if I can find it. But blew it pretty bad after a couple of meetings. I had to wait for some head gaskets because the heads were damaged the heads a bit. So anyway, we had to sit out for a little bit. Also, the frame was knackered, and the steering box, I needed to find my own because we were waiting for parts out of the US for the other one that was knackered. So anyway, got all that back together finally with our own gear, out my own engine, steering box, car, the whole lot. All was mine. So, but as we fired up the engine when I put it in from Jack's, when I got it back from Jack's, sorry, I try and keep my floor, I don't know if you can see it, I try and keep it sort of relatively clean. So if anything falls out of a car, I'm going to see it. Well, anyway, underneath the front harmonic balancer on the front of the engine, on the ground, there was some plastic which looked like a crank position sensor. Now, this thing is brand new at the start of the season, like everything else I've replaced and had to replace again. But what had happened is I think there might have been a rock that got into the harmonic balancer at Napa Speedway and damaged one of the tangs on the back of the harmonic balancer, which triggers the crank angle sensor so the engine knows where the position of the crank is. Anyway, it was cutting into this crank angle sensor. So the crank angle sensor was still working, but I don't know how. But also, the engine was running rough as soon as we fired it up. And I knew it wasn't nothing to do with getting the engine rebuilt. It was obviously my end. And then it turned out to be, well, we replaced that straight away, thinking that was it. And then it still ran rough. And so the next thing I replaced was the map sensor. And lo and behold, the thing is actually idling perfectly, ran faultlessly. And in fact, it must have been on its way out for a while because just the note of the idle is just so smooth and all that, whereas before it was really rough. And I suppose it's one of those things that we didn't really realise, or I didn't really realise because it was a gradual problem. But anyway, so yeah. So anyway, getting back to the traction control, which is probably why everybody's interested, this thing. So changing the crank angle sensor, so hence why I had to mention that, I actually put this punch into the flywheel down here. I don't know if you can see it. It's probably not working. Oh yeah, there's a couple of holes in the engine plate, and I put this sucker in there to stop the flywheel when I'm taking the harmonic balancer off. And especially if I'm doing this sort of shit on my own, it's just so much easier. Anyway, as I've done all of that, fixed all of that, and cranking on the main bolt on the crank to put the harmonic balancer back on, this thing has just popped out. You know, no worries, I'll pick that up later. Well, anyway, it's obviously just sat on the floor. I'll try and remember where it was. Actually, I think I've got a video of it. But anyway, that's where it was. But when you look at it from, oh, you can't even see it. But you look at it from out here, and it's hard to see where it was. I'm assuming it was in that vicinity because of the torque tube. Anyway, I go out for the first heat, and in the first corner of the first heat, the bloody thing was under my foot, but I thought it felt like a clump of clay. I've had that before where I've had some clay get in there, but anyway, so I've kicked it with my right foot, and as it turned out, it's actually perfectly wedged itself underneath the throttle pedal, and hence I had traction control, and it only allowed for 50% throttle when I checked after washing the car the next day. And that was like that all night. And because we had, what happened? In the first heat, we had a fuse blow. So I spent all between that first heat and second heat not even thinking about the debris that I felt into in the cockpit, in the footwell there. We're too worried about trying to get the engine going again. So the problem, so anyway, back to the traction control, that was it. Nothing crazy, nothing, but it just allowed me to only get 50%. So a little bit of clickbait there for you, but I don't care. It's YouTube, get used to it. What had happened though, and again, I'm going to see if I can, it's bloody hard filming with a camera and phone. So this sucker here is the main power source to the starter motor, and the actual end of it has like a little S-bend to people that don't know. Well, anyway, I've had that back to front, and so this was arcing out on the actual body of the starter motor. So as soon as we got going, everything was fine, and then obviously, you know, under race, because it basically, you'll see it in the video, it just stopped dead in the middle of the corner, and lucky, you know, old mate had to come over the top of me, and yeah, but yeah, it just died on us. So get back to the pits, and we're working on, you know, trying to work things out. You'd think you become good at this sort of shit, but you know, you learn something every day. And then old mate Jack comes over. He goes, "How bad was the fuse?" I said, "Oh, it's blown." He goes, "Yeah, but how bad?" And it was basically melted in there. And then straight away he goes, "Nah, it's that wire. You know, it's arcing out somehow." And I reckon I would have changed these things bloody a million times, you know, with engine changes. And I've even got that many starter motors that have been faulty or whatever I've screwed up, that I've never had that ever happen. And there is a way to do it and a way not to do it. And anyway, here we are. So I didn't even think about looking at the throttle or anything like that. Go out there, ran at and that was, unfortunately, that was my front row start. And then the second heat was my rear start. And then just couldn't make any ground. And even looking at our lap times like the next day, you know, I was, you know, it's not as if I'm on the pace, but normally I can throw a good lap together and whatever, but not consistently. But I just, my times were off, and obviously now we know why. So yeah, so pretty probably when you look at the effort in the BMO, we passed a few cars there, but still, again, with only half throttle, yeah. Which is a bit weird too, though, because the car felt really good. We made some changes with setup and stuff like that we learned from Napa. But now, is that worth anything, you know, because the car didn't have the full throttle, you know. I mean, the thing drove like a Cadillac. So anyway, onwards and upwards. So to finish this off, our next meeting's not going to be until the 22nd, I think it is, at February, in not Mildura. We're going to miss that one. We're going to go to Murray Bridge instead. Only because I'm going away at the start of February, and it's not all ideal because we've missed a bit of racing, but anyway, here it is. So yeah, sorry for the clickbait again, but here's our last effort at Murray Bridge.